cardboard is worth how much? Yeah, no, that makes sense now. Trading cards. I don't get them. But on this journey, I'm not only gonna understand them, I'm gonna waste an obscene amount of money on them. And not only that, I'm gonna learn how to play and win a tournament. Ah, yeah, a guy who hasn't opened a pack in over 2 decades versus people who've been playing for years. I can't see this going wrong at all. When I was little, I used to watch my older cousins playing Pokemon, watching the show, but most importantly, collecting the cards. I was so enthralled with it that my cousin gave me a bunch of cards like this Oddish that I've had since that day in 1999. And then my mom promptly took them away from me because, I don't know, maybe she thought they were evil or something. She gave them back to me, eventually. On the other hand, my dad was always supportive of Pokemon. He would buy me a pack a week, and if I was good, he would let me open them on Fridays. I'm not quite sure what the draw was. Maybe it was the cool illustrations of the monsters on them, the allure of a card game that I truly never understood, or maybe the gambling aspect of it. Come on, give me that Charizard, give me that Charizard. Fuck! Eventually, I kind of grew out of Pokemon, and I got into basketball cards, and then Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and back to sports cards, and yeah, that gambling tick never really goes away. It just transitions into different things. You know what? I never realized how much gambling was introduced to us at such a young age. You know, doing those quarter machines when you're trying to get that prize you want, or trading cards when you're trying to get that really rare card, or even second grade in Miss Deutsch's class when you're doing the reading lottery and you can't get the one prize you've been reading all those pages for and you thought you were gonna get it, but you didn't. Yeah, just a lot of gambling at a young age. I think I always understood the concept of rarity to a point where I knew that I really wanted a Charizard card or I really wanted the Dark Magician Girl card, but some cards, the fuck is this? But now that I'm older, I think I finally understand it. Now everyone understands the concept of scarcity. If there isn't much of a card, the value goes up. Especially when that card's related to something super important, like one of the greatest athletes of all time, a banned card from the games, or, you know, if they're just a pretty girl. Because let's be honest, who's collecting cards the most? But I, like many, never played the games growing up, and these numbers on the card actually mean something. The only card game I ever got to play was Yu-Gi-Oh! And that always ended up in a fight, because how the hell is an 8-year-old supposed to understand this? I'm 30 and I don't even understand this. And the closest I ever got to Pokemon was the Game Boy Color game, which was super fun, but not the same as playing with other people. So you know what? I'm finally gonna learn how to play, Pokemon. So I spent countless hours watching videos, researching how to play the game and build decks and just what the strategies were, and I want to say I retained a lot of it, but honestly, I didn't. Because then I went on an adventure to buy Pokemon cards, a lot of them, and this is what addiction looks like, isn't it? God, I hope this video does so well. Look at all this. Look at all of what I got. Look at all these cards. Where they all come from? Well, there's like weird blister things you can buy, the 3-packs, like boxes, a bunch of these elite trainer boxes, which are pretty cool. So you're probably asking yourself, how much did I spend on this? There's 124 packs here, and they're usually about $4 to $5 a pop, so you can do the math in your head. But you know, some of them, obviously that's not actually how it works, because you know, sometimes you get triple packs or things go on sale, like this guy. This guy was $10. Another time I was going to a Dollar General that was selling out, and I got a bunch of packs for like $2. This is expensive, and I really hope that it pays off. The whole entire point of all these cards is that I get to build a deck that wins a tournament. And I didn't get to do this when I was little. But like, look at these. Opening up a packet like that, like I opened that one already. And first of all, these cards look so different from what they looked like when I was little. But like you have these little shiny little reverses. I don't remember that. But now every single pack comes with these holographic cards. Like when you got a holo card like this back in the day, it was like, wow, this like all packs got some kind of holographic or some kind of star at the bottom. You know, back in the day, like you got one of these and it was like, wow, this is so cool. This is so amazing. I can't believe I got one. But now every single one, like if you get a holographic thing, it's just a toss away card. Like you don't even care what it is. Like, cool, it looked neat, whatever. It's not worth anything. It's worth like 5 cents now. That's the difference, I guess, if you're a collector now, because there's so many sets. You see all these sets here. There are so many different sets, and each of them has like, so many. Like just looking at these, how many new cards are in this pack? 160. There's 160 new cards in this set, Twilight Masquerade, that just came out. First of all, back in the day, they were releasing cards so much slower. Like these new sets come out every 3-4 months, and it was really a shell shock when I went to the store and I saw all the different options, and these were like, this was sold out. Like I was at a Best Buy, I was at GameStop, and it's not like they had a huge like selection, because you'll see places online that people will post about like, look at all these things, everything got restocked. Like I didn't go anywhere that had giant restocks, but even so, there were so many different booster packs and boxes to choose from that it was honestly overwhelming. There would have been something like a Charizard box back in the day, and those Charizard cards would not have been worth nearly as much as they are now. And this is 151, so this is all the Pokemon I remember. A Pinsir, a Charmander, a Seaking, a Ditto. These shiny, I'm not gonna lie, these shiny little guys are cool. These shiny energy cards, very cool. So honestly, I'm not gonna bore you with going through every single one of these packs. That is cool. A Radiant Gardevoir. I feel like once I learn the game more, I'm gonna understand what the difference between like the Radiant and these other cards are. These holos are different. Like these holos are very different. They're like, it's shiny and like hollow, but it's a different kind of hollow from back when. Let me just get like an old pack. Or let me get an old card just to like show you. Just like looking at this, and don't get me wrong, this thing's a little beat up, but it is very different from looking at this Orbeetle. Like this has like the holographicness is cool and it's different. It has these little lines, but like it just doesn't have that the same nostalgia to me that this Poliwrath does. The illustrations are actually insane. I'm getting a lot of these shiny energies, and that's very cool, but I don't know if they're actually worth anything, but darn it, that's cool looking. That's the other thing I'm seeing, like this Rockruff right here, if you can see it in camera right now. There's a Cribep, I don't care about that. That's a full art. This is so cool looking. Like this was a rare card back in the day. This is what it is now. And I don't even think this is like that rare. Like I think people like pull this to me like, okay, yeah, cool. Like it's all worth like $1 or something. But like as someone who genuinely enjoys Pokemon, like seeing a little art card like this is so cute. It's fascinating. It's so different from the art styles we had back then. I don't even know what this is, and it's so cool looking. A rainbow card. 7-8-year-old me would have been shocked by this. I ended up grabbing some Japanese packs at the store, like literally just Japanese packs. I had a couple cards back in the day, but I just kind of wanted to see what the difference between these are and what like an American one would be. Because like here's Twilight Masquerade, and here's a Japanese version, and here's an English version, and I want to know, because these have what, 10 cards in them, and this one has 5. I want to know, what are they different? Like, is it just it costs only like $2.99 versus $2.99 versus 4, but like I just gotta know. So I want to know what the difference. I've never opened a Japanese pack of cards before. Just want to see what this is like. Like oh my god, look at the back. That's so cool looking. Oh, that's neat. All right, so I don't speak Japanese, so I couldn't tell you what they say. I don't think I got anything good, but like fought. Let me open a regular American pack of this as well. Aaron, Sandshrew, a Chansey, a Tangela, a Boomerang Energy, Rayfort, Palafin, Teal Mask Ogrepon, nice. What? That's pretty. That's pretty. Oh, that's so cool. So I don't know if you guys can see on this camera, I'm realizing there's such a difference in physical quality between these packs. Like this is the same exact card. I'm hoping you can see pretty well in camera, but like you can just tell this is better color. Just it's thicker. It is thicker. These feel cheap. Like this feels like the ones we had back in the day with Wizards of the Coast versus when like I guess Pokemon Company took it over. Whoever prints it now, it's not the same card stock. It's such a lower quality versus these Japanese cards, and it's just even the center, like everything looks just better on here. I understand why people will only collect these. I don't think you could play the game with it, so it does nothing for these cards do nothing for me besides being just cool looking, but because I can't play with them. But darn, that's just, I've always been curious. I've never opened one of those back when I was little. It doesn't seem fair or fun for you guys to have me just sit here and watch me open a million of these, because that's probably not what you're here for. So I'm just gonna speed and ramp through all these and just show you some results if something pops up that's cool. It's funny seeing these blister packs, because I remember back in the day when we were opening these, like they had the clear ones. It was like a clear pack, but now it's like a little hanging tag thing. Actually, they weren't even like that. They look like this. This is what the blisters look like. So they had the little thing punched out hole, and like they just hung up like on the shelves like at a CVS or something. But like now we have these cardboard covers. First of all, that's just wasteful and feels like a waste of resources, but it's so cool looking to see a giant artwork like that. We love the Glaceon Sand Slash Iron. Oh, that's cool looking. Iron Bundle. Huh. It's a Pokemon on the pack. Like, this has to be worth something. Sorry, like, the Charizard was on the pack, and the Blastoise, and all those ones were on the pack, so therefore this one has to be worth something. I love the artwork on these. They're so cool. Even the common cards look cool. Look at that. Look at this. Do you know what a Scyther looked like back in the day? That's insane. A peek at, like, look at the detail. Like, I know it's been years, but, like, this is just, like, I could just stare at these. It is literally a giddy little nostalgia trip every single time I'm opening a pack, just because, like, it really does take me back to, like, when I was little. The opening part has been fun. I don't know how the sorting part is going to be, because there are so many. I've been doing this for, like, what, 10 minutes, 20 minutes? Ow, not my Staraptor. This is so cool. Oh my god. Look at it. Look. Two of them in this bag. That's so cool. I feel like it would have been a lot smarter on my end if I ended up, you know, actually knowing what kind of deck I was building to know what cards I'm looking for. Because right now I'm just kind of looking for anything. But at the same time, that makes it more fun because I can appreciate what I'm getting, even though I don't know if I'm going to need it. One of the big things I've been noticing is the difference in, like, HP. I know there's a thing called, like, power creep, but, like, this is 180 HP. I remember back in the day opening cards, this was the max. This is 120 HP. Like, this was as high as we're going. This is considered, like, just an absolute baller. And now we have an unknown who is known as, like, a pretty crappy Pokemon. And it's 108. This is something that's pretty hard for me to get used to. I don't care what anyone says. This experience was super worth it. Just look at all these cards. These are so cool looking. Oh my gosh, like this Pikachu. Look at this. This is so cute. Having opened all of these, it's so satisfying. And I can tell you that with honesty, just to pick a card out and just see the artwork that goes into it. It's nothing against what we had back in the day, but the new stuff is just it's so cool looking. They're all sorted out in their different groupings of what sets they're from. And I guess now is the time I get to build my deck. Oh, hey, Pastel, remember that time that you said you did a great job? You didn't. You didn't do a good job. You wanna know why you did a terrible job? Because you got a bunch of different packs from a bunch of different series that don't mesh well together for the game. Isn't that cool? Isn't that neat? You got all these 151s, but guess what? The deck that you wanna build, there's nothing from there. See, all the money you wasted? That didn't help. All right, before I spend any more money, I might be a little in over my head, but I do know who to ask for help. So I have the creators of the Ruby Retro channel. One of the reasons I got back into Pokemon is watching both of your videos and just learning about what it was back, you know, in 1999 and pretty much where the meta of the game has come to. What got you into Pokemon back in the day? Like, what is the enticing thing that you're like, look at these cards and be like, this has a weird little thing of an Oddish. I need to collect this. I need to play this game.
Well, I don't think my first card was an Oddish. I think it was a Chinchou or something, or a Chinchou. One of my friends got me into it on a snow day, actually. And from there, I was basically hooked. I found out my neighbors played, couldn't get enough of the cards. And there's just something about the ability to say, like, you know, you've caught them all, you've collected them all. That's really got me and kept me in the game. And then as soon as I found out there was a competitive scene, you know, I was sold for life.
As soon as I found out it was competitive, I learned how to play, got destroyed by Nick in my first game in a professional setting. And then from there, it's all history.
How would you build your first deck, and was it with the intention of going into like the competitive scene and going to like, I'm gonna go beat people in this game? It's not just to collect them. Like, I want to be the best.
I think like the first deck I really remembered building, other than just like, you know, the ones that we use playground rules with, was I built an Infernape deck back in like 2008 during Diamond and Pearl. You know, I thought Infernape was great. He had so many cards. and I showed up at a little tournament, and I didn't realize that Empoleon was one of the best cards at the time. And so I just got absolutely bodied by all these kids playing water type decks. Not really the peak of competitive play, but I think that, you know, it was the first deck that I really made all by myself. It really taught me to start looking at what lists were doing well, seeing, okay, they're playing a bunch of trainer cards. I should probably play a bunch of trainer cards. And I think from there just really started something in me that I wanted to figure out how to deck build better, figure out how to do better.
2009, I had picked up the Game Boy Color game. That was kind of how I learned how to play the card game.
I love that game so much.
One day, me and my friend Lance were talking about it, and we're like, you know, can we play this anywhere? Do people host events? So we looked it up, found a Pokemon League. I built us 2 decks. Mine was like an electric deck. It had base set Pikachu in 2010. It had base set Electabuzz. It was awful. I showed up, Nick pulls out Lux Chomp and just dunks on me in one turn.
From the scene back then to, or even playing with friends back then to now, like what does it feel like going back there, your first time going to, you know, a tournament or just going to a game shop to play with people? Does it feel like there were more, I don't want to say creative decks back then, but like more like I built this myself and it feels like it's my baby versus, you know, it seems like going online, watching videos and seeing people actually play, it feels like a lot of people just go with the meta. They're like, oh, this person played in this tournament, I'm going to like the Gardevoir deck today.
From what I remember, people were a lot more secretive in what they were playing and not like, you know, I have 2 deck boxes, I'm not telling you which one's Lost Box, which one's Gardevoir, which one I'm signing up with. It was more so like, you didn't even know what was going to be in like their, say, I don't know, maybe their Haymaker deck, right? Like maybe back then they weren't running the 3 conventional Scyther, Electabuzz, Hitmonchan. Maybe they had like a Mewtwo they threw in there or, you know, some other surprise attacker. And I think that really just with the advent of the internet, I think people see a lot of the cards more that people are talking about, even if the trading card game is a little bit more difficult to play on the new platform online. I think people have a lot more access to playing the game. 15 years ago, if you were playing like 10 to 15 games a week to test like decks out, I think like that was a lot at the time. And now, you know, you could play that in a couple hours. And so I think the format just gets fleshed out a lot more quickly that way also. Okay,
then here's my next thing, because it sounds like both of you kind of jumped into the scene, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. It feels like Pokemon was not at its peak in a sense, you know, back in 2008, 2010, 2012 when it came to the scene. It doesn't feel like, it feels like there was a drop off. You know, between like 2005 to, you know, 2015, 2016, I feel like there were a bunch of different card games coming out. Like, what was the reason you're like, no, I'm still playing Pokemon. I'm not jumping to something like Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm not jumping to Magic, which has existed forever.
I don't think it's so much that like Pokemon's the best card game. I think it's just the community is so much bigger, and in my opinion, as far as like big communities go, it's one of the most accepting and like friendly communities of all the card games, comparing it to like Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's just a lot easier to keep up with Pokemon because it rotates. So, you know, if you drop out of the game for a few years, which I did in 2014-ish to 2017 maybe, you can just jump back in and all the cards are new to everyone because there's only a few sets in rotation, which is nice.
So it doesn't feel like, even though you were missed out for like a little bit, it doesn't feel like you were like entering in blind in a sense.
Right. Not like, you know, you go into Yu-Gi-Oh! And if you haven't, you know, played Yu-Gi-Oh! The entire time, you have no idea what any of those old cards do, which ones are banned, which ones aren't.
Yeah, I feel like Pokemon is really consistent as a game, and I feel like even when it has different mechanics, a lot of times you can look back and say, okay, like this is what they're trying to imitate from like 10 years ago or something. And so I think in addition to the community, I think just the game itself is really approachable, and it's really easy to get the cards and find people to play.
Funny enough, it came down to, do I want to try to go jump back into, because I have my cards here still. I was like, do I want to jump back into Yu-Gi-Oh! Or do I want to, you know, do Pokemon? And I feel like I remember when I was little trying to play Yu-Gi-Oh! In general, and it felt like It felt like the rules always started with arguments. When you're 10 years old, you're like, no, I swear they did it on the anime, therefore this is how this thing works, and that's not how it works. They keep it simple, and I do appreciate that fact a lot. For someone that is going to a tournament or just a game shop to play for the first time with other people or convention, whatever it is, how would you tell them to prepare in a sense? How would you tell them to, like, this is what you're gonna feel like when you're entering, this is what you're gonna see people playing with, like, what is the feeling, the vibe? If we're gonna say the vibe, what's it gonna be like going there for the first time?
I always get a rush. I feel like when I'm going to a new card shop or something, or when I'm like getting ready to enter a tournament. I think like the best advice like I would give, and I think I wish I'd listened to this more when I was still playing a lot more, was you know, have your list ready, maybe change out a card or two based on what you feel walking in that day. But I think like just being confident in your deck choice, you're going to see people like when you get there that are going to be like playing games with decks beforehand, and they might not even be entering with those decks. And so I wouldn't put a lot of stock into that. I think though the overall vibe is it's a tournament, but people are super friendly, especially for more like low key tournaments, and it being your first tournament. There's a lot of times in more casual tournaments that I've let people take stuff back, and they've let me take stuff back, because I think at the end of the day, people are using that as practice for some kind of bigger event somewhere down the road. So I think the vibe is going to be very friendly. It's going to be somewhat casual.
People want to play the game. They like to play the game. So as a new player, don't be afraid to ask people questions. I'm sure anyone would happily answer ruling questions or strategy questions. If you need help, you know, building a deck or refining a deck, getting cards, everyone will definitely be gung-ho to help you if you just ask. What
I'm hearing is don't be intimidated. It's really about having fun. No one's gonna look down on you for, you know, playing for the first time. No one's gonna be like, oh, you haven't played in how long? Wow, loser. Like, so no one's, I mean, there might be someone obviously there, but like for the most part, it's not gonna be an aggressive area where people are gonna be coming at you. So I do appreciate that aspect. But thank you so much for taking time to, you know, just hear me out and just give me your own insight on this. I really appreciate it, and I'm excited to get back into Pokemon. I really am, and I appreciate your videos getting me to that point where I'm like, oh my gosh, I remember this in nostalgia, and just getting me excited to spend like $600 on packs and start doing this.
Yeah, well, I don't think it was our goal to make anyone spend $600, but I do think though that we did want to tap into that nostalgia and kind of share, you know, our own experiences with Pokemon and how much the history excites us, and kind of remind people of that time in their life.
Please check us out on Ruby Retro. We do history content. We try to make it as informative as possible. So
we're brewing episode 6 right now. You know, I don't know when the next one's coming out, but I will say it's definitely one you're going to want to watch.
So I was right. I did not get the cards I needed. So from watching before, my goals were to build a Miraidon deck or a Dragapult deck. So as the people on Ruby Retro were telling me, there is such a big rotation constantly with cards that they just will, you know, recycle new things every single game. So half the packs I was getting weren't even relevant to the current game system that people are playing right now, which stinks. I get to enter in at a point that a lot of people are entering in at, so it's not like I'm like that behind, but it feels like I'm kind of starting from scratch with the cards that I get. So I have 2 options, and the first one is, my other option is to buy them online. So the cool thing is I found tcgplayer.com, and what I can end up doing is, because these decks are already online for people, I can either manually build it myself, or a lot of times they have lists for the meta decks, and just TCG Player will pull it from different sellers and put it into one cart, and boom, I can have the whole entire deck just like that for $50. Would have been so great if I just did that instead of opening all those packs. But opening the packs was fun. Don't get me wrong, it was really fun. It just wasn't the smartest move for my wallet. Granted, once it comes up to 148, no, that's not gonna work, but you can start buying from the same sellers and save some money, and it'll make it easier. That is at least what I've learned from doing this, and I was able to physically build this out and buy it for, I think it was like $65, which, again, huge savings versus buying all those packs and trying to do it physically. That was just stupid. That was a stupid idea. But on the plus side, I have a great collection now. That's all I'm gonna tell myself. I just had a great collection, and it was really fun to open it. So I have learned one cool thing. All these code card things that I had in my pack before, they're for the TCG game online, which is pretty much like the Game Boy Color game we had back in the day, but more modernized, where you can actually redeem all the packs that you buy for digital ones. So While I do have to wait for my real cards to come in the mail, I can at least practice the game while doing so. But the best thing is there's no efficient way to actually upload each of these code cards because it's either type the whole entire thing out or I have to like scan them on my phone, and that's exactly what I'm gonna do. Whoa, we finished! It's time to actually start playing with these decks and tinkering and see if I actually pick up anything and I don't know. Wish me luck. So this kind of started turning into a slight addiction after a while where I was playing at any time possible, whether it's on my phone or on the computer. And while I was getting better, it was time to take a pause on digital play because, ooh, it's mail day, you know what that means. I actually ended up with a Lugia deck because I'm a millennial and gold and silver really kickstarted my craze back in the day. So I sleeved up my cards like all the cool kids do, and I was set. So I was gonna sign up for a tournament, but turns out the person that does the registration told me I need to go to Pokemon.com and get like this trainer ID, and that apparently tracks all of my games, all of my tournaments, and like qualifies me for like nationals or something and prizes, which is pretty cool because that means if I do so well in a bunch of tournaments, I get like flown out to California or Japan to actually like compete in the national and internationals, and it's a lot more in depth than I thought. To be fair, the cool thing is once you sign up, you can see all the different local tournaments around you and how you compete and get more points. But I guess I'm ready now, so here we go. So I made it here, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of nervous for my first tournament. Sitting in the parking lot, kind of a little scared to go in. But honestly, there was no reason to be. Everyone was super friendly and patient with me, even when I made mistakes. I even had a chance to sit down with the organizer for the event.
So this is a league challenge over at Hobby Vault. Players are playing for championship points out here to try and earn their Worlds invite, and it's just, you know, casual Pokemon play. It's a little step down from Elite Cup, so it's a little less competitive, a little less try hard and sweaty, but it's a good time. It's a blast. The camaraderie, the family, the friends. My daughter's playing. She almost made her Worlds invite this year. My wife is now playing. It's just been a great time. The friends, the family, the people I've met, it's just been fantastic.
But I know if you're still watching this, that's not what you care about. How did I actually do in the tournament? My first game ever went a lot smoother than I thought it would, and I managed to squeeze out a confidence boosting win over a Banette deck. Game 2 was more of the same. I ended up going through a Roaring Moon deck. While I did play online, playing in real life is completely different, so I kind of had to relearn all the decks of my opponents while I was playing. But I did end up getting another win.
And then you win.
Except, I forgot to put my prize cards down, and I actually had to take an L on the technicality.
Actually,
Yeah, I might. I'll take an L if that means.
push it.
That's fine.
We forgot prize
I forgot
cards.
prize cards. Is that just an L? It's fine if it is.
It just pretty much is you lose the game.
Alright, cool. That's fine. Can we keep playing for that?
Yeah, we could keep playing. Yeah,
That's fine.
sorry about that.
No, you're fine. So on paper, I was 1-1, but I'm taking that as a mental victory. Also, follow this man, Poker Ranger Juju, super cool dude. Game 3, I somehow squeezed out another win on the last card I drew. That one had me sweating though. Now, I know you're probably thinking this has to be fake, he can't be winning all of these, he just started playing Pokemon. Don't worry, I ate my humble pie this round. Game 4, I was crushed so fast, I lost in 3 turns. 3. Game 5, however, was a soul crusher. This one hurt so much because I was in a good position. However, my opponent didn't remember the rules on their card, and it pretty much ended up negating one of the turns according to the ref, and it really threw me off my whole game. And I ended up losing, which to end the tournament that way was just, it was disappointing. So we might not have won a tournament. No, we didn't. But I had a lot of fun with this experience, and I think 8-year-old me would have been really happy that I got back into this and proud of how well I did in the tournament. Plus, it doesn't hurt that I made some friends along the way. Yeah! And after all this, I think I finally kicked the itch to open Pokemon cards for a while. Or not.
What is going on, guys? Here we are at Hobby Vault, going against Chris.
Got 6 million prizes.
Alessio. He's got 1 prize card left. I got 6. Let's have a plus ultra time. Hit that like button, smash subscribe, leave a comment down below. Which is your favorite My Hero character? Let's get this thing started.